One of the topics that comes up often, it was in our event trends promotion report this year, was the change in people's perspective on virtual events and also hybrid events. And I think that I saw your talk at NEVA and I was like, I got to get these guys on the podcast to talk about this subject. So do you want to just real quick, both of you, give a short intro to who you are and what Volume is?
So I'll let Greg take the volume question, but I'm a longtime promoter. I've been in the industry for 30 years. I was an artist manager, venue owner, festival owner, and a promoter doing shows throughout the country. How I came to Volume was basically during the pandemic. I streamed with some different companies and had an amazing experience with these guys, and went from sort of being like, well, streaming is just something I'm going to do during the pandemic, while people can't be in person, to saying like, no, this is going to be a part of my strategy, moving forward. And it has been.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I'm excited to dive into that a little bit. And then Greg, do you want to give an overview of what Volume specifically is and why you have a perspective on this topic?
Sure. And thanks for having us on. I'm Greg Nacron. I'm the COO of Volume. I do not come from the music background. I come from more of a tech background, actually. Volume.com, what we are building is a community for artists, all different sizes, touring musicians, people busking on the corner, but giving them a place to engage a fan base in a way that, we feel like is a little bit counter to a lot of the music industry, rewarding, our artists with their data, letting them know who is actually watching to them. I think we have the industry leading splits in terms of how finances work on our sites, if you sell a ticket or you have a subscription. And then, of course, just bringing in a lot of interesting, music content and properties, festivals, concerts, podcasts, to really make a destination site for music lovers to have a place to go. And again, give the place for, on the artist side, for them to set up shop and feel like, they're getting a good deal and they're getting the support that they need.
There's a couple of different things that I want to touch on there that I'm going to come back to in a second here. But
Sure.
How you mentioned something about how you, and I know so many promoters and event organizers that did live streaming during the pandemic, whether it was a hybrid where they had some portion in person and some portion virtual, or entirely virtual performances. But I've seen a lot of them move away from it. Yeah. And I wonder if it's because they never found the tools or never found how it works. So like, I'm wondering from your perspective, what did you find that is working about that makes you think that there's still opportunity there and excited about that in the long run?
Yeah, well, I have a small concert company. A lot of what we do is under 1,000 capacity. And when you're doing smaller shows, you have smaller budgets. Yeah. Contrary to what maybe people are starting to come around to the idea that email is the best way to reach out to people. For a while, people thought, no, socials is the way to go. But we have found our email marketing to be, as promoters, to be the most valuable thing that we do. We just streamed a bunch of my shows. I do a series during Jazz Fest in New Orleans, and we streamed a bunch of those shows. They're promoting the stream, but they're also promoting the hard ticket show. So I love it. And then what I didn't mention, getting back to the email, is I get all the data. The artist gets the data, but I get the data as well. So, which is huge.
Well, that's huge. And I want to ask you, Greg, to touch on that ticket portion and the email portion in a second. I just want to corroborate what you just said. It's across our event promotion trends report, like email is the #1 channel. There's a bunch of other channels that come under it. And we have this philosophy that like their email gets you the people that you already have as fans. And it's like, I think what promoters know that have been around for a while, like you, is that is your gold, right? Is your email list. And that's why people do co-pros and they bring in new artists, because that builds your email list over time. And that's why you have in every city 2 to 3 promoters that are absolutely dominant, because they have the email of everybody in that city and they know what kinds of shows they like. And what's interesting is the way that you just described working with Volume feels a lot like a co-promotion or a co-production, except Volume is reaching anybody in the world rather than just your local venues. So I'll let you take that, Greg, on like how you think about that and why that ticket piece is important.
Well, and that, just to, touch on that, what we know, and we can say this with 100% confidence at this point, because it's a little bit of like a myth that I think has, you know, kind of hung over live streaming. There is never a person who wants to go to a show and doesn't go because of a live stream. It's not the same experience. Live streams are nothing but FOMO. So people who go to them are people who literally cannot go to a show geographically. They've got to watch their kid that night. They've got things to do that they can't go, but they're invested. When you incorporate a live stream, we don't care about necessarily just promoting the live stream. Whether you're the venue, the artist, we want to promote that event. Because at that point, if we don't announce a live stream until the last day, people who are just following that event, they're going to be super excited now when they get to be included in that. And we don't have to mention a live stream and freak a promoter out or anything till the end, because it doesn't change it. You know, if the people that are going to buy tickets are going to buy tickets, the live stream is not going to be something where it's like, oh, okay, now I don't need to go because I can just watch from home. What we see is, you know, from our venues and artists at work, it's like, no. Like the live streaming, you're putting my name out there internationally, you're putting it out there into different markets, and people who might not know about me are hearing about me because I've got a partner who's investing in a lot of different marketing resources, like, you know, our Jam-based partnership, or we do a lot of relics. I mean, we basically are investing in these resources to then deliver them back to our community and back to the artists. So it is a partnership. And, you know, I think the biggest thing that we've realized coming out of COVID is that everyone needs to a little bit kind of re-understand their relationship with live streaming. Because when it first came out, it was like everybody was stuck home. I wish when it first came out, but when it was having its moment,
yeah,
people were stuck inside. That is why they could not go to a show. So everybody was live streaming. Everybody was making money because this was the only way to still put on a show for your fans. Once we've come out of COVID, well, now everybody wants to be back in person. That is where we are. And we understand that. We're never going to replace that experience. So artists, management, venues, as we just talked about, got to understand that there's a different relationship there, which is data, which is knowing who your fans are. If someone tells me they have 40,000 Spotify listeners, that's amazing. That's great. You don't know who those people are. Do a live stream, make it free, create a ticket so that everybody who cares to watch your live stream actually claims that ticket, and we will give you back those 200 fans that with their emails that actually tuned in. But that is knowing your audience. You hear a lot of the don't rent your audience, own your audience. Live streams to me are the perfect conduit for that, because it's not a casual listener. It's people who want to make a point to watch you in that moment. And once you've made that relationship through a live stream, you now have that person. You can sell them your tickets. You can sell them your merch. If you're a venue, you can market your future shows. So that's really where I think, you know, as we see with artists that are leaning into this, they're going, wow, I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this because I am learning a lot about who cares about me. When you do a live stream on volume, you get a report, not just with your emails, but a heat map of where people are watching you from. So when you're figuring out where should I be booking, where should I be playing, this is very, very important stuff that helps you in your bigger business.
That's a good solid reason of like why you should care about live streaming and why you should do it on a platform that allows you to have access to that information. I would be interested to hear, Howie, from you first, and then Greg, from your perspective. What are you seeing working for? So someone says like, yes, I get it, I'm in. Like, what are you actually seeing fans engage with the most? I'm sure there's been a lot of iteration of this since COVID. So I'm just interested to hear from both of you. What are you seeing in live streaming that's unique or just working really well?
It really comes down to the buy-in from the artist and the venue, you know, and our different partners. Are they getting behind this? You know, when the artists have, you know, it doesn't even have to be a big following, but just a dedicated following, and they're getting behind that, you know, we're seeing a lot of engagement. A few months ago, we did a Sammy Ray and the Friends show. She's incredibly loyal fans, and she didn't post until the day of the show on stories, and she had almost 1,000 people participating in the stream. And then, you know, Greg mentioned subscriptions, and we're doing that with artists. And when the artists are really treating it like a business and really getting behind it, then we're just seeing a lot of engagement. And they're creating these revenue streams outside of touring that are, and outside of streaming, meaning Spotify and such, that, you know, that are direct fan to band subscriptions. It's not a platform subscription. So there's tremendous upside for them if they really lean into it. And the partners of ours that have, we're just seeing really big results.
Is there anything that people are doing that you find interesting on the streaming side that makes it unique?
If we were to talk about, you know, venues for a second, you know, we have a couple venues that they stream every day. They don't do any promotion of who's on there. They're just like, turn the cameras on. We'll let the artist, when they want to promote themselves, you know, like anything else, it's like putting time in the gym. You know, you see viewership, you turn on the cameras day one, you got 3 people, you know?
Yeah.
But you keep going and you keep turning it on, and people start to realize, and what happens is again, it's that I can't go to my venue tonight, but I still want to see who's there. So I'm going to tune in for a few minutes. And we've seen the success of viewership growing in terms of just being consistent with it, where you go from that 4 or 5 people nightly to maybe now you're at 40, 50. And again, when you're a venue, you're just collecting data. That's really it's a big fishing net trolling every day, all the time. So it costs them nothing to do this. They go, this is great. This is a tremendous value add. That's not a dollar.
Well, it's also building a relationship with those fans. Like, because if it's someone that maybe interacts with that venue once the basement, right? That interacts with the basement once a year. Now maybe they interact with them once a week. That's a huge increase in that brand engagement.
Absolutely. And then, you know, we have certain artists and, you know, it's like at this point, I'm done trying to ever guess what's going to be a really big live stream, what's not, because it's really strange. But, you know, there are some artists that come out and they do a live stream with us once or twice a year, and they have a crazy fan base and they crush it on tickets and they make a bunch of money and they pick their spots. And that's not really their main source of, you know, but they're strategic about it. You see all these, you hear everyone talk about super fans. How do we leverage super fans? We have somebody on our platform who makes easily 6 figures, you know, off of subscription numbers that are based off of a relatively small fan base that is highly engaged. And this team has really developed a great business and strategy to feed this fan base with live streams and with interaction and with access. You don't need 5,000 fans to do this. You can have 200 really good fans and make a great living off of it if you are willing to build the business. It's not just something like anything else where you can go, oh, I'll throw this up, and you got to work at it. But we can see success of people where we go, they don't need to tour, they don't need to do anything. They're able to, you know, put on shows from their home studio and make a great living doing this. So I find that to be honestly like the biggest success, because with all of these different platforms out there that want to do fan engagement, super fan stuff, we have figured that live streams is really that mechanism. That is the thing that an artist can be consistent with. They're already doing it if they're playing shows, and your fans want to see more content. So it's a very nice marriage.
I think there's probably a lot more there, and maybe we'll come back in the future and tackle a specific subtopic here. But thank you so much, both of you, for joining me. Is there anywhere that people can find you? And Volume is volume.com, is that correct?
Volume.com.
Easy. I want to know how you got that domain.
Easy. Easy. We stole it from the right person. No, we you know, again, coming from a tech background, we know, you know, domains do mean a lot, and having for what we wanted to do and build this community, there needs to be a name with it. And, you know, just to reiterate what Craig said, it's a free site. There's no subscription to join Volume or to get on Volume. If an artist wants to charge you a subscription, that is on them, and that is on you as a customer if you want to pay them or not. But Volume is free for everybody.
Well, thank you so much, both of you. I'm interested to share this with some of the promoters that I work with and event organizers and artists too, because I think some of them might have some interesting takes on it and be excited to be part of a community like that. So,
well, great.
Well,
thanks so much, Craig.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Take care.